Hey, howdy everyone, Tony here. I hope you're doing well. Today I will be utilizing the TDU method of analysis to look for potential setups in the charts. Let's see what we can find. First, if you want to learn more about the TDU method, check out the site. If this video is helpful or you learned something new, please like and subscribe to stay updated with my analysis. Now let's dive into it. How's it going, traders? Hope you're doing well. Just want to do a quick look at Bitcoin. Try and keep it quick. We're going to start at the weekly, work our way in and see where we're at. The one thing that we can definitely see here is that we're losing a bit of momentum here on the EWO. That's not indicative of a dump coming or anything like that, but this is just showing that we're losing some momentum. We also have a loss of volume here as well, and on the RSI. So momentum indicators aren't looking the greatest here. We're getting a little bit of confusion up here as well as to what is really going on as far as the Elliott Wave goes. And because there's so many different counts that you can put on this, I think there's some things that need to be considered here. First off, if you think we put in the top here, what is your plan? Are you going to dump everything out? Are you going to take some profit? Are you going to hedge? These are things you kind of have to figure out right now, or you should always have figured out. If it reaches a certain level, are you going to take profit? Or are you going to hold till have diamond hands till 200,000? Do you think this is the top? What are you doing about it? Are you just going to hold and pray? Not the best financial decision per se. There's a lot of different strategies that you have to figure out. What are you going to feel comfortable with? If this thing drops down to 100K, are you going to be okay with that? Are you long-term, short-term? So right now what I'm doing is I'm doing a little bit of hedging up here. I've already got a short from 124, which is pretty much near the top. I would encourage you to sit down and figure this out and figure out what you're going to feel comfortable with. And as we all know, if we've been trading for a while, whichever choice, you're going to have to live with it. If you don't make the exact right choice, you're going to regret it. It's just various degrees of regret that you kind of have to sift through to see what you're willing to live with. Are you going to be happy eating ramen for the next year if this thing starts dropping out of the sky? Or are you not going to be able to pay your bills? These are things you're going to have to deep dive in and see where you're at and see what you can live with as far as feelings go and as far as financials go. And those can be two different things. Without going too much further into that, I think there's a lot of talk of this being the top. So depending on who you are or who you follow, I think considerations should be made. This is a steep move down. We've broken some structure here at 108. So this isn't the best looking kind of setup we have for a continuation. Typically, when we get a swift move down like this, it's either indicative of an A wave or a C wave of a flat. So in either case, we have to look at this, no matter how this is, we have a swift move down that breaks structure. That's concerning in many ways. And when we get down deeper in here, we'll kind of decide where my level is at least and how I'm going to be trading this swift move down. Right now, I think it looks okay as an impulse. When we dig down, we'll kind of look at that. But a swift move down after a peak, we have a move of greater or equal movement, price movement in this move. So that's an eyebrow raiser, no doubt. Same thing happened here. We had a swift move down here, but then we had a reach for the all-time high again. So this pattern has been pretty prevalent within Bitcoin. We get what we think is a possible top. Everyone starts calling tops, and it's got a three-wave move, sweep the high, and then we come crashing down. It's happened a few times here, up here eventually, and it's even up here at the smaller degree. This is a pattern that Bitcoin likes to do. Typically, we come back to a level of interest here, and then we bounce off. This one was kind of a head and shoulders. So this is a pattern we can kind of play off of, that typically when we bust up, we like to come back and retest some of these previous levels that were played as resistance in the past. We come back and we flip them into support. Sometimes we just blast on through, but right now, because of where we are at the high, it's a little bit tougher to be confident that this is going to keep on going up. And when we dig deeper down, we're going to be looking for clues as to where and how we're going to work our way through that whole situation and see if we can take advantage of it. So if you're a long-term investor, again, depends where you got in. You can plan for this to be the top, and if it's not the top and it keeps going, you're good. But if you have to kind of set up in your mind, this isn't a hope and pray scenario. Complacency can definitely kill an account. It can grow an account definitely as well, but we're kind of near an all-time high top here. So That puts a little bit of a different spin on things, in my opinion, where if this is the top, we're probably going to correct pretty far down. And you have to be ready for that emotionally and financially. And yeah, beating a dead horse, you're going to have to figure out the best avenue for yourself. But for me, I've taken profit up in this area. I'm going to hold out and see what happens longer term. But I don't care about that. So longer term, it can go to $1 million. It's my long-term hold. I'm really looking for medium and like swing trades and shorter terms trades as well. So at this level, not a whole lot going on. Again, we have that swift move that breaks structure, and that's something we have to consider. So that's the weekly. Let's go ahead and dive into the daily and see if we see anything different. So here we are on the daily. You can see the momentum indicators are printing lower highs as the PA is printing higher highs, which is divergence essentially. We really have to look at, do we trust this? Do we think this is something that we should consider, is that we're losing momentum as we go higher? These are topping loss of momentum indicators that show us it's time to take this stuff into consideration before placing any more like longs, depending at the various degrees. At this degree, I think we have to wait a little bit for a long, and I'll kind of dig into that a little bit. But these are things that we have to consider. If you trust these indicators, you have to listen to them. You have to have the backlog or the data points that show you that these indicators don't lie to me too much. Again, if you're going to base everything off these, that's your strat, whatever. But I think just using them as correlation or confluence to your decision making is really necessary when you're looking at this, or when you're looking at long-term investing or trading, is how much can you trust these indicators in your pattern and your method. I think with this falling here, it's definitely an eyebrow raiser, like I was saying before. So let's get, I'm kind of looking at this a couple different ways. Right now, I think, get rid of that. So right now in the Elliott Wave, I mean, this A could go a couple places. We could start with this as some kind of flat, and then this is the B, and then this is the impulsive wave down. And also kind of as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is the A of the flat, and then we have a B of a flat up. Typically in flats, we're looking for the B wave to have less slope than the A wave. So here you can see we have a nice sharp A, and then we have a B that heads up and takes a little bit longer to sweeps the high here. One thing I've definitely been noticing a lot more in these markets is that we're getting a lot more broadening wedges in this situation, where price just sweeps around, it's looking for liquidity, it sweeps the high, comes back down, sweeps the low of the previous one, pops back up, and so on and so forth. But we're basically just sweeping liquidity left and right, knocking out shorts and longs to gather liquidity before a bigger move. So essentially, we're just going sideways at this point, but in this kind of pattern. This happens a lot too. Notice it in Ethereum quite a bit. Pretty much it's like indicative, like this could be a couple things as far as the Elliott Wave goes. It could be an expanded flat, could be, this could be the top here. I think we have to consider that two things can kind of happen here in a broadening wedge. Either we're done and we're heading down and we've gathered all the liquidity we want, or it's going to come back to the other side of this again and hopefully continue on from there. So I think we've come down here, we've swept this low, we've broken this pivot. Looks like a liquidity grab at this moment. At the higher degree, liquidity grabs can dive deep down. We still have liquidity under here, and some of these other places here at 100,000, where everyone's going to be. I'm sure a lot of stops and a lot of people are saying 100,000 is where they're going to bail on this thing. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on these levels, and I think all these levels right here should definitely be marked out on the chart. As you've seen, they've played as support and then flipped to resistance. We really want to see that happen again here. I'll show the higher levels here, and then we'll kind of dig in deeper. But right now, these are the kind of the four main levels I'm watching at the higher degree, just because I think they can add confluence to our Elliott account. Hopefully it plays out nice and pretty, but these have shown reactions in the past, or their psychological numbers, like 100,000 here, 115. These are psychological numbers that can correspond with pivots and be confluence, added confluence. Right now, these are kind of the main levels to keep an eye on. I'm watching for this thing if we retrace. And of course, as with everything, it's all on how it retraces. If we come crashing down, I think taking a long here is a lot more risky if it comes straight down. we start getting some more corrective stuff, something like this, and we start meandering down and looking like the bears are losing momentum, and then we bounce, I think that has a lot better chance of putting in a pivot and moving up. Again, it's nothing's a given in the markets, but that's kind of what I typically look for, is a level of interest, an area of interest, depending on if we're doing the fib entry, we're doing it at levels, if we're adding Elliott Wave into the situation. I'm looking for how we get there. A dump down is sus. If we come down nice and correctively, much better. And it's all about the reaction afterwards. So these are the main levels I'm watching. I think right now, going down to 100,000 is on the list. And right now, 108 is the price that bulls have to beat on the daily. All right, so that's it for the daily. Let's dig on down to the 4 hour. So down here on the 4 hour, I don't want to stick around too much. I think there's still a chance that we're going to be going down one more level here to the 100, 100 area, 102 area again. I think that'd be the cleanest look. We look down at here. I think we have a pretty decent setup here. We could say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more low could be the pivot we're looking for to send it up and start over, depending on what this is. And in the end, as an investor, I care about the longer term success of the asset that I'm kind of charting and looking at. But at my smaller time frame, when I switch over to swing trader mindset or like the short term mindset, I don't really care what's going on in the bigger picture. I'm looking for patterns that I can recognize and take advantage of in my method. One of the methods I use or incorporate is Elliott Wave. So if we get a nice clean impulse down, I don't care what's going on in the bigger picture. In a bubble, I know I have a pattern that I can recognize. It's nice and clear and clean. And I know what comes after an impulse, one or two things. When you're dealing with an impulse, either it's going to be, is this attached to a C? Is this attached to is this attached to larger impulse complete? Is this attached to the wave C or of a zigzag or a flat or whatever? I really don't care. I know I have an impulse up here and I can take advantage of that knowledge. What are we usually looking for after an impulse? We're looking for either a C, we're looking for a move back down, either retrace this whole thing or go for an internal correction here. And that, again, it all depends on how this thing moves, that we can gather clues or intel on what's going to happen after this move completes. So if I have a completed impulse up, I'm looking for a motive move down, depending on the degree, internal retracement, and then a move down. From here, this is what I care about. I have an impulse to move up. I have a reaction off the high that's in an impulsive manner. And then I have a correction that moves internal to this motive move down here. And then that's the sweet spot. That's what I'm looking for right there. All this other stuff beyond here, I don't care about. On the hard right edge, this is all I care about. And then this is where we try and look for entries. Market being good enough to us to give us potentially a zigzag into the 50 would be ideal. Start stacking all the different components of the method up. But this is what I'm looking for in the short term. All the back end stuff, it's good to know. If you have clarity on the back end, that's an added bonus. Front end, this is all I care about. I'm looking for patterns I know that play out in a certain fashion that I can trade off of. So by looking at this in a bubble, I think we have a couple different ways to look at this. First off is, what is the larger degree count here? This is some kind of larger impulse down, and we just kind of got a big dump here. Quick down, 3, 4, 5. That's definitely a possibility here. Doesn't look the best. It's not the cleanest version. It's not the prettiest by the book situation, but I think there's still merit to this being a possibility. There's also some kind of possibility here that this finished here and that this dump here kind of exacerbated things. So we could be here as well. But I think the main thing we have to focus on the trading end here, the short term, is this right here. I think this is kind of a huge deal. And when I'm also looking at these, I'm looking at how to trade this in an aggressive fashion, or an aggro, as I call it, aggro and conservative. So for Elliott Wave traders, Elliott Wave trading, when you try and catch the pivot exactly, that's a little more aggro. If you're looking for the wave 5 to turn right where you think it's going to happen, and you put orders and all that kind of stuff down here, that's a lot more aggressive of an entry. It's more beneficial if you actually do catch it. you got good risk reward because you don't have as much space between your stop and your take profit. Of course, that comes into risk. Wave fives can keep going and keep going. It doesn't have to actually pivot here. You have other confluences and a lot of other stuff to the left. That's huge. That definitely helps your pivot out, and that's where confluence comes into play, is when you're trying to catch the exact pivot at the larger degree, you're looking for all the other stuff to the left. You're looking for levels, you're looking for fibs, you're looking for all that kind of good stuff. Try and catch the pivot before you send it up. So that's the aggro entry here I'm looking for. If we get a nice move down to 100K or in that area and a nice no-nonsense impulse, I might take a little bite here and then wait for the less aggressive or the conservative trade to play out, which would be a move down here. Then we break this structure here and move from, and then come back up. And it all goes back to my little diagram I had before, is that after this completes as a potential wave 5, we're looking for that move back up, break the wave 4, kind of give us an idea that this impulse has been completed at this degree, and that we're looking for some kind of retracement, either to this to be fully retraced, or if we're just going to go for some internal retracement here to gather more liquidity. In the end, I don't care. I'm looking for that motive wave down, or that motive down, the motive wave move up, breaking the wave 4, and then an internal correction. And then I'm looking for that wave C3 setup. Short term, again, ideally, you always want to try and catch a 3, but if you take profit at certain locations, the C can be profitable as well. That's kind of what I'm looking for here on Bitcoin, is a move down, potentially in the area of interest here, like 100K area, and then a move up for a possibility of a wave C or 3. Now, just because we've moved down here and we start moving back up doesn't mean we're out of the woods here. We still have these levels that we have to go back and contend with, and we have even more at the smaller degree. So that's kind of the main key, is how we approach these levels after we start moving up again, if we do. Even from right here, maybe this is some kind of diagonal and we're done and we're heading up. So if we kind of break down, I think the first thing we have to do is break this level at 107.5. As you can see, it played as support here in the past, playing as resistance now. If we end up popping up above this here, we break this and kind of complete this as being a potential impulsive move up. If we pop above this, start correcting down, I think that's a good time to start looking for a long. Now, of course, crypto being crypto, if we pop up, pop back down, things are a little more sus. But at this point, I think 107 is kind of the breaking point of where eyebrows start getting raised. I think this is the official invalidation right here, since this is my wave 2. So we still have some space to kind of deal with in here where it could still be a wave 4 in the works. But yeah, I think everything, when we start breaking above here, I think this is kind of the first indicator that things aren't going great for my countdown. We did hit the 382. So if we start breaking through this area in an impulsive manner, my stance is going to change on what I think is going on here. Of course, I always want the market to do what I tell it to do. It, of course, doesn't always do that, but I would like this just to finish out here. Give us a nice clean 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. It's an impulse. It's a no bullshit impulse. Can't sit here and discuss what it is, what it may not be, all that stuff. But I think a nice clean 5 wave down here and then a bounce up is going to be huge and key to this whole situation. This is some kind of zigzag. Let's say we have this as like some kind of zigzag, double zigzag, whatever. Again, we really have to start breaking these levels in an impulsive or motive manner, correcting to them, and then seeing continuation, or things ain't going to be looking too good. If the top is really in, like I said before, typically when we look for a top, there's a lot of different indicators, but one is that we get a swift move up and then a swift move of equal or greater distance traveled and the subsequent move. Again, this has happened in the past, and we've reached the top, come back down, and then we ended up going back for a new high. Doesn't necessarily mean game over, but it's definitely time to consider something fishy's going on. And like I was saying before, considerations on how you're going to deal with this being the potential top is going to be clutch and key for your survival in the market. Now, you can believe whoever you want to believe and get on the hype train and have someone boost you up and say, we're going to 250 no matter what. Hold on, diamond hands, all that stuff. That stuff's been said a million times over and has wrecked a lot of people. So I think the level-headed version of this, could this be the top? Sure. Not financial advice by any means on my end, but there's different variations and ranges of regret that you have to deal with in trading. And I think being regretful with money in your pockets, the better regret for me personally. So again, I've taken profit. I've hedged up here just because I was a little sus. I thought we were going to get a little retracement into here up to 118. So I jumped in at 124. And I'm going to hold on to that for quite a while until we start breaking some of these levels and flipping them into long. I'm going to hold this short. Yes, it's kind of been going through the same thing after this dump. Typically, the pattern has been tariff on Friday, backpedal on Sunday, and that's kind of what played out. And we knew we were watching for this in the Discord. I was hoping that we were going to keep sending, but seems to be doing the same thing. We're just going sideways here. It can be kind of a good thing and a bad thing. We got 1, 2. This could be a couple different things. Right now, what I'm watching, of course, is that we did a broadening wedge here where we swept liquidity. We're just sweeping back and forth, confusing everybody and knocking all the short-term people out. I think we do have a nice impulsive move up here. It doesn't seem to be attached to anything yet. I mean, if we dump, we could always say this is some kind of flat, some kind of running flat. But for right now, I think we have a nice looking impulse up here. And it's going to be kind of huge on Sunday when futures open, or on Monday for sure, is how this retraces. Is this going to be like all the other alts where we just dump and cut out this impulse as a potential directional change? Or are we going to start correcting here or get some continuation back to all-time highs? I think the tariff thing has played its course. Like they're having talks now, all that kind of good stuff. So I think that trade's over with now. And I think that the key here is what are we going to do in this area? We already came back for liquidity here. So it's just a matter of what this potential impulse here is. And I think the happier ES is, the happier Bitcoin's going to be. So if this keeps sending up, I think Bitcoin has a better chance of holding and or moving up with it as far as the correlation goes with it. So that's just what I'm thinking at the moment. Of course, PA can change everything. If you have any questions, concerns, definitely leave a comment in the comments. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Later.